Imagine being told that the universe won't let you into heaven until you can survive living with exactly 100 random roommates.
Oh boy.
Right. And you have to do it without ever once losing your temper over, like, a dirty dish in the sink.
That's a wildly stressful premise.
It really is. No quiet retreats, no solitary meditation on a mountaintop. Just you, 99 other people, and the inescapable friction of everyday life.
Which completely shatters the modern, almost spa-like aesthetic we usually associate with spiritual enlightenment.
Exactly.
We always think the goal is simply to find a quiet space away from everyone else and just breathe.
Yeah, but that is exactly what we are exploring today on this deep dive. We are looking at a highly specific translated text from 2011 by an author named Shifeng.
Right. And it's titled, How to Cultivate and Improve from the Practice of the Second Home.
Yes. And as a document, it is basically a radical, totally unapologetic blueprint for dimensional ascension.
It really is.
And people usually treat spiritual cultivation like an escalator straight to a pleasant afterlife. But this text, it treats it more like a rigorous, grueling community garden project where you really have to get your hands dirty.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So our mission today is to extract its insights. We're going to look objectively at its fascinating claims regarding human nature, community living, and the psychological weeds holding people back.
And to even understand the method, we first have to completely rethink why people seek self-improvement in the first place, at least according to this text.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the text transitions right into dismantling basically all of your preconceived notions of spirituality.
Completely. The author immediately demands that you leave your traditional assumptions at the door. The foundation here is that cultivation is not about simply being a, quote, good person.
Right, which is an aggressive way to start.
Yeah, and it pushes even harder on traditional frameworks, especially reincarnation.
Oh, this part was fascinating to me. Because if you know Eastern philosophies, it's usually about accumulating good karma for a better earthly life next time.
Right. But this text argues that approach is fundamentally flawed. Because in the cycle of reincarnation, your conscious awareness and your memory, they disconnect entirely between lives.
So since you won't even know your future earthly self, why worry about them? I mean, if you don't remember your past or future lives, trying to secure blessings for your next life is like depositing all your money into a bank account that only a stranger with your same name gets to access.
What's fascinating here is how shockingly pragmatic that is. It's a very mechanical logic.
It really is. Like, you do all the heavy lifting, you deny yourself in this life, and some stranger gets the payout.
Exactly. It demands that you focus on your immediate psychological reality, not some hypothetical earthly return.
So, if the objective isn't cosmic brownie points, what is it?
The text outlines an actual dual purpose. First, achieving happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment in this present life.
Right now.
Right now. And second, elevating your life to a higher dimension of existence.
Like literal dimensional ascension.
Yes. Entering realms that the text specifically names, like the 1,000-year world or the 10,000-year world, or the Celestial Islands continent in the Elysium world.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because if the goal is immediate happiness and eventual dimensional ascension, how do people usually mess it up?
Like skipping the hard work.
Exactly, by trying to find a cheat code.
The author critiques this very specific human tendency to seek quick results, obsessively pursuing advanced mystical methods.
Whoa, yeah. Supernatural abilities, opening the third eye, all that esoteric stuff.
Right, and meanwhile, they entirely neglect the foundational building of the soul. The author actually quotes Laozi here, saying, "The great way is extremely simple, yet people prefer shortcuts."
Which makes sense. I mean, I was reading this and thinking, it's like someone buying a $5,000 professional guitar hoping it will instantly make them a rock star.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, without ever bothering to learn how to tune the strings. They want the roaring crowd, but they don't want to build the calluses.
And people are seduced by the aesthetics of advanced spirituality. Magic, mystical abilities, it all sounds glamorous.
It feeds the ego.
Exactly. But the actual foundational work facing yourself is tedious. It's uncomfortable.
And the text says the result of these shortcuts is that you squander both your present life and your future opportunities to live like the Celestials in those higher worlds. You lose everything because you wouldn't do the basics.
Right. So since individual shortcuts don't work, what is the actual environment required for this foundational soul building?
Well, surprisingly, it is not meditating alone on a mountain.
No, it's not. The text introduces the second home as the living example. To reach any level of heaven, You must first interact with a group.
Because living alone on a deserted island offers no genuine freedom.
True freedom requires other people. The text sets this ultimate metric. Can you find happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment within a group of exactly 100 people?
So what does this all mean for you? As a listener, think about it. If you think you are perfectly at peace while alone in your room, but you absolutely lose your mind when a roommate doesn't wash a dish,
Right.
are you really at peace? This 100-person metric is a brutally honest audit of your actual state of mind.
It really is. Isolation provides a false illusion of peace because you're just controlling your environment to avoid your triggers.
Yeah, you aren't peaceful, you're just unchallenged.
Exactly. True spiritual resilience requires friction. The group of 100 acts as an inescapable mirror, constantly reflecting your flaws back at you.
And it says if you can find joy in that group, you are mostly done with your cultivation. You're ready for the advanced stuff.
Like facing death and opening the Buddha's eye.
Right. But if you can't, progressing further is impossible. It compares it to trying to build castles in the air.
Without that foundation, you have nothing.
So if you are in that 100-person group and you're just miserable, what is the root of the problem? The text points directly inward. It talks about the weeds in your soul garden.
The gardening metaphor is so deliberate here. Understanding sacred texts or advanced techniques is totally useless if your soul garden is unkempt.
You have to pull the weeds.
Yes. Happiness naturally follows once the weeds are eradicated. And the specific weeds listed in the text are just, there are so many of them.
It's a massive list. It has the heavy hitters you'd expect, like jealousy, complaints, comparisons, resentment,
Selfishness, greed, pride.
arrogance, anger. But then, and this is the part I found so interesting, it lists things like whining, lying, sloppiness.
Laziness, forming cliques.
Yeah. Spreading rumors.
Yeah.
Sarcasm. And my personal favorite phrasing, treating others as emotional garbage bins.
That phrase is incredibly vivid.
It is. Treating others as emotional garbage bins. We've all been on both sides of that transaction, you know?
Absolutely. You have a bad day and you just dump it on someone else.
Right. And seeing that listed as a spiritual weed makes enlightenment sound less like magic and much more like hardcore behavioral therapy.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the brilliance of this list is how it places mundane annoyances like sloppiness or whining on the exact same level as major sins like greed or arrogance.
It totally flattens the hierarchy.
It does. It implies that everyday bad habits are massive roadblocks to higher dimensions. They tether you to secular life just as much as deep-seated greed does.
And the text claims that eliminating these weeds is nearly impossible in normal secular life.
Because secular life often rewards those exact weeds.
Yeah, ambition, forming cliques, cunningness, those get you promoted in the real world.
Right. So the author argues that true eradication requires the transformative baptism of living in the second home.
Okay, so once a person realizes their soul garden is completely overrun with weeds and that secular life won't fix it, what's the plan?
The author provides a highly specific 8-step roadmap to literally leave Earth.
An 8-step blueprint for ascension. Let's walk through this because it is intense. Step 1 is purely educational, right?
Yes, step 1 is to read the Chanyuan corpus, Shuveng corpus, and Chanyuan grass corpus.
Got it. Read the manuals. Step 2. Apply to become Chanyuan grass. That's the terminology they use for a practitioner.
Right. Then step 3 is where it gets real. Settle your secular ties to enter the second home.
You have to cut the cord.
You do. And step 4 is actively working in the second home to repay debts, accumulate merit, and painstakingly build your soul garden.
Pulling all those weeds among the 100 people.
Exactly. But then we hit step 5. Overcome the mountains of romantic and sexual love and achieve an unhindered mind to enter advanced cultivation.
Okay, I have a massive question about this one.
I figured you might.
Why is overcoming the mountains of romantic and sexual love the final massive hurdle before you even get to learn about supernatural abilities or the method of death?
It's a huge pivot.
It is. Why is human attachment the final boss before the literal magic starts? I mean, isn't love supposed to be a good thing?
This raises an important question about the philosophy of attachment. The text differentiates between universal love and exclusive love.
Okay, how so?
Exclusive romantic or sexual love binds a person intensely to earthly interpersonal dramas. When you are exclusively attached to one person, your emotional state is dependent on them.
So it's like a tether.
A very heavy tether. To ascend to higher dimensions, one must achieve an unhindered mind. And that requires detaching from exclusive earthly bonds to embrace a broader, universal existence.
Like, as long as you're clinging to that exclusive anchor, you're just too heavy to elevate.
Exactly.
It's almost like looking through a pair of binoculars. You see one specific person perfectly up close, but you have zero peripheral vision.
That's a great way to visualize it.
You're blind to the rest of the landscape. So step 5 is saying take the binoculars off.
Right. Surrender the exclusive love to gain the universal love. And once you do that, you reach the final steps. Step 6 is cultivate supernatural abilities.
Then step 7, learn the method of death, which, just to be clear, doesn't mean anything harmful. It's about mastering the conscious transition of your awareness, right?
Exactly. Facing the biological ending without fear, which leads directly to step 8. Cultivate Zen meditation to shed mortal bones, leave Earth, and head to the destination.
Wow. It is quite the journey when you lay it all out.
It really is.
We've gone from realizing earthly reincarnation isn't the end goal to avoiding the trap of mystical shortcuts.
We talked about facing the brutal 100-person community test.
Yeah, and weeding out everyday toxic traits from the soul garden, like whining or being an emotional garbage bin.
And finally, reviewing that uncompromising 8-step roadmap to shed mortal bones.
Bringing it directly back to you, the listener, in your daily life, whether or not you are preparing to ascend to the 10,000-year world.
Which is a big commitment.
Right. But whether you do or not, the framework is incredibly practical for the here and now. Treating your mind like a garden and viewing the frustrating people around you as your ultimate test for personal freedom.
It is a powerful shift in perspective. You stop running from the friction.
Exactly. But I want to leave you with a provocative thought experiment to mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Okay, let's hear.
If you were suddenly locked in a community with 100 random people tomorrow,
Just boom, right into the second home.
right, which specific weed in your own soul garden, be it whining, sloppiness, or treating someone like an emotional garbage bin, would be the very first to cause chaos?